afternoon. I want to thank the members of the media for joining us on this, what we think will be a very brief conversation in relation to where we are. I should tell you, first of all, that the Honourable Minister responsible for the Ministry of Environment and Green and Blue Economy is overseas on government business, and that Minister Griffith is also carrying that portfolio, and that I am here in the capacity as the person who held responsibility for the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Blue Economy, and therefore I have great familiarity with a lot of the work that would have been done in this space. You all would have seen very recently a video that is now circulating on social media that professes to be fact but has no relationship with anything to do with the truth. And we felt it was important for us to come and not defend the government's record, but to say exactly what it is that is happening in relation to the development of this industry. You may recall that when we came into office in 2018, that we found a state in the fishing industry that was very, very undeveloped. The market here needed work. The market at Consett Bay, Oistins, Bridgetown, Weston, you name it, the markets needed work. All over the fisheries industry also needed work. We did not have enough repairs to jetties. We did not have enough slipways. That is what we came and what we found. We also found a situation where we came in 2018 and we were greeted with one of the heaviest influxes of seaweed ever in Barbados in the year 2018. There was no blueprint for dealing with those things. We had to come in and put in place systems to address the seaweed issue as well. So the video that is now making its way on social media purports to discuss the seaweed harvester. And I think it is important for us to address the harvester first, and then I would speak to the state of the industry. Now, the harvester was bought with the intention of being a part of an overall response to the seaweed situation. The harvester, as you know, we've already used the harvester here at Consett Bay, and currently we have taken out the battery and some other parts because of the corrosion that is associated with boats when they're dealing with this part of the ocean. Those parts have been sent for repair. In fact, since December, November last year, we were awaiting parts. So the parts will be in very soon, I'm told, and that the harvester will continue to be functional. If you look at the harvester now as well, the rust that is on the harvester is nothing that can stop the harvester from repairing. It's right there. Take a look at it. It is a very functional harvester, and the parts that have been taken out have only been taken out for repair. It will continue to be a part of our response to the overall fishing industry. But the larger point is, and I feel like I understand why members of the Democratic Labour Party would be so keen to come to St. John and try to make a point, even though it's not a point based in fact. I understand that there are a number of persons knocking around St. John hoping to be the representative, the administrative leader, the political leader, my young friend who's standing outside, all hoping to be the representative for St. John. But the truth is that the seaweed harvester is functional, and that the parts that have been taken out have only been sent for repair. You should also appreciate that this government has done the most work of any government when it comes to markets, when it comes to fisheries. The jetties at Oistins have been repaired. If you go to Oistins, you will see that the jetty was in a bad state before we came into office. We fixed the jetty at Oistins. It was that way for the 10 years the Democratic Labour Party was in. We repaired the jetties in Bridgetown. In fact, in this year's estimates, there's some further funds to continue those repair works. We repaired the jetty also the jetty in Speightstown. So we've done the most work to jetties in the history of any one government. When it comes to the markets, when we came in, we found all of the markets in a state of disrepair, all of them. Oistins was particularly bad. We repaired Oistins. In fact, if you go to Oistins now, you will still see the countertops that are phytosanitary standards. You will see the same thing in Bridgetown. We repaired Consett Bay. We repaired Pile Bay. We are now doing Weston. You name it, and we've done it. It's only now Consett Bay, and Consett Bay is set to be done this year. And some work also to be done on some of the landing sites like in St. Lucie. So when it comes to the record in terms of fisheries, the government's record is stellar. The jetty here at Consett Bay is also to be repaired. And if you look at the history of the work we would have done, it is easy to see that the government is honest in its intent to fix all the jetties. I remember as minister, when I visited Oysins, one of the fishermen said, all we have received for the last 10 years, this is in 2018, are promises, and there's been no work done. That same fisherman has thanked me repeatedly for the work that we would have done in Oysins. So if you look at the jetties that we would have done, and then go further and see the work that we would have done in relation to the overall blue economy. The other thing is this, and I am sorry Minister Ford is overseas now on official government business, because I think he's been doing a wonderful job in relation to his ministry. And I'm sure when Minister Griffith speaks, he will speak to some of the things that he himself is doing in St. John. But when we came in, also, you would also understand that there was no blueprint for dealing with seaweed. There was nothing, no file on any of the major files to address the seaweed. It was this government that brought on a significant number of individuals to deal with the seaweed. In fact, we would have hired about 60 persons or so to move seaweed. The thinking then of the seaweed was that seaweed was a grass that perhaps you could use it for other purposes, and we felt so. One of the reasons that we got the harvester in the first place was the view was held that once the seaweed is fresh and you take it directly from the sea, you had more value for it. I mean, with some time we've come to realize that as an algae, it is a very difficult material. And additionally, seaweed comes and seaweed goes, but we have not had the influx of seaweed in the last few years that we would have had in 2018. And when necessary, the functional seaweed harvester that is being repaired will be used. But the idea that, I understand very well. I understand very well when somebody feels that their boat has sailed and that circumstances has called their boat to sail and that they want to come to the ocean or to feel some association, but that they're still relevant. But if your ship has sailed, do not use the fishing industry as the tool by which you feel you could propel yourselves into the hearts and the souls of Barbadians. This government has done the most work. I would also want to show you, because the thing also spoke to the plans. These are plans from 2020 that are approved. These plans are approved, and if the Democratic Labour Party, which has now become their style, would read the estimates, they would see that the money is in the estimates for this work. So this is nothing that is a knee-jerk reaction. This is in the estimates. And in the estimates of expenditure, I would want you all to see, in the estimates of expenditure, we put 4.3, it is, million for Consett Bay. There's an additional 5 million to continue the work at Bridgetown. So this is nothing that is as a result of a knee-jerk reaction. This is in the estimates. But the recent history of the Democratic Labour Party is clearly that they refuse to familiarize themselves with the estimates process. And I do not know how somebody seeking to be in government could continuously make these basic, very almost jejune mistakes for somebody who's trying to lead. So what we intend to do here as part of the work, and I'm sure Minister Griffith, I'll let Minister Griffith speak to some of that work, but what we intend to do here is to continue to build out. So we would have done significant work in this space. The other thing that I want to add is that in the situation with the slipway, now I saw the administrative leader of the Democratic Labour Party, when he spoke, he said, he spoke in relation to the slipway. We would have put in place a number of things for the slipway. When I became minister, it was clear that the slipway had had no work whatsoever in a number of years. Nothing was done. We repaired the slipway. The slipway, however, was finished last year, but the fishermen, and this happens in the real world, the fishermen said that the slipway had finished too sudden and there was a drop-off, and by the end of December, I understand that they extended the slipway to allow the fishing boats to be able to come out and to remove the drop-off, and that there is a space between the slabs that some of the fishing vessels are now falling in between. And the current work that is being done, the rocks that they refer to as rocks that we put in place is a revetment. And they need to familiarize themselves with the industry if they want to speak to it. But the revetment that is put in place is to allow the work to be done while they finish off the slipway. Those boulders are to be moved by the end of this week, I'm told, and that slipway should be fully functional in a week. And the other thing is that there is going to be a slipway in the estimates for Bridgetown to allow us to haul out boats properly in Bridgetown. The port has, as part of its master plan, another slipway, a major haul-out facility to allow us to haul out boats. So this will be the most transformation that has ever occurred in the fishing industry. So there is a legitimacy that I feel the government has when it comes to the work that is being done in the fishing industry. It is regrettable, again, that we would choose to put fishermen in a political conversation, the fishing industry in a political conversation, when the facts are extremely clear. And these are things that I would recommend anybody take a look at the estimates. I would recommend persons take a look at the plans. I would recommend that you visit the sites across the country where we would have done substantial work for the industry. I close by saying that the administrative leader of the Democratic Labour Party tagged me in a post, as is now his style, to continuously make reference to myself. I don't know what his issue is, but I saw that he tagged me, and I hope that he is able to get this response and to recognize that what he considered to be a dysfunctional seaweed harvester is not the case, and that the monies that have been allocated here alone, is more than the monies that the Democratic Labour Party put in the industry in 10 years, notwithstanding that we would have done all of these additional things. So I just felt that there was a need for us to give some perspective to this issue, and I will let Minister Griffith address some other issues, and then we will take questions from the press.
Thank you, Minister. You know, it is unfortunate that we are here at Consett Bay today to deal with fake news, and I really mean fake news. The Democratic Labour Party, and let me say from the very beginning that they're knocking on closed doors. There are no vacancies in the constituency of St. John. Now, we have this situation where repeatedly the Democratic Labour Party of late somehow rediscover the constituency of St. John. And things that are happening in St. John that they're identifying, it is not a case that these things came to light in the last 5 years. These were things that were problematic 10, 15 years ago. And the Democratic Labour Party did not find it necessary to fix these issues. But now we have a situation where they're constantly in St. John looking to bring attention to self more so than to deal with issues that are real. And the fact that Minister Humphrey would have identified all of what is planned. I have been here at this location on several occasions having conversation with the fishermen and staff in relation to what was required. What Minister Humphrey did not say that without me approaching him, he indicated that, look, Consett Bay will be sorted, will be fixed. Absolutely. So the most of St. John, and as a resident of St. John and the MP for St. John, I feel insulted that this is now the second occasion that the Democratic Labour Party would have been in this constituency telling lies and blatant lies to people in St. John. First, it was the playing field at Gore Hill that residents were told had one entrance. Now they're at Consett Bay, purporting to highlight issues that are no issues. And I'm saying to the residents of St. John, just realize that St. John is rising, as I like to say. And the fact that we're here today is a clear indication. You would have seen the drawings that indicate that this is not something that was done yesterday. Plans are in train to fix this facility to ensure that the fisher folks at this location have the very best of what Minister Humphrey would have indicated is happening across all of the other locations on island. So the reality is that a lot of work has been done in St. John over the last 5 years. Roads that were in dire state of repairs were fixed. We have playing fields that are now becoming mini stadia, i.e. Gore Hill, a fishing complex that will be brought into some kind of right up to all that is existing on the islands, the Bridgetown, the one at Oystins. All of the fisher folks at this location will feel pleased to know that government is doing this. So the Democratic Labour Party should not be knocking on doors in this constituency that are closed. They will see that this will be repaired because I have seen the drawings as well. And I'm expecting as soon, exactly, $4.3 million in the estimate. And I'm sure that as soon as money hit the ministry, that we will have a startup in relation to this. I would hate to believe that an adult in 2014 would not believe that metal, 2024, would not believe that metal next to the sea will rust. It is amazing. But then again, that is day one. So I want to thank the media for coming here. I want to thank the other individuals for being here from the ministry to deal with this, to let people know the truth in terms of what is happening at the fishing complex here at Consett Bay. And from my ministry, there are also plans to put some kiosks here to bring life to the location on weekends so that we can have more than just a fishing village, but persons can be able to come and have, you know, a lime at this particular location, because I think it is ideal. So I welcome all of the development that is coming to the constituency of St. John.
Thank you.